thought his artwork was pretty good. I'm no artist, but imagine if he had been accepted to art school. There might have never been a World War II. And what if that would have led to a World War II post-nuclear era? I mean, that could have been very bad. So it's amazing how you can start seeing what might have happened and then start using your imagination to see how what did happen might have been okay. No, 6 million Jews and 50 million people dead in Europe, not a good deal altogether, but it could have been much worse if we'd let something like that come to a head after nuclear arms were commonplace. Let's get back into the discussion here. My lighter worked. Thank you, lighter. Thank you. They give you free lighters now when you buy cigarettes down at my local place, and they suck. They really suck. They usually last about 3 days, and then I don't know what it is. They don't get enough oxygen into where the spark's hitting the fuel, and you have to sometimes tear the little tab off, and my fucking thumb is raw from trying to get these lit. But anyway, the next one's straw man. Everybody knows straw man, right? You can read what it says there, but to give you an example, understand that a straw man is like basically someone creating a false argument, pretending that they're fighting you or some other person, pretending that they're fighting something you believe when it has nothing to do with your point or what you believe. They've taken something similar, expanded it, or somehow reshaped it, and put it outside and said, look at me beating up on this. And you're going, but that's not what I said. That's not what I believe. Why are you beating up on that? That's a straw man. That's when someone's making it look like you believe something, and thereby making it look like they're whooping the hell out of you on a topic when it wasn't even something you proposed. And the thing about a straw man is they're not doing this accidentally. They're doing it on purpose. So you can look at the description they leave there and see what you think about straw man. Straw man's a big one to watch out for. And if you want to win in an argument and someone's doing this, call them out. Say, so what's up with the straw man? If they're smart enough to know what it is, then they'll either be defending and saying, it's not a straw man, you actually do believe this, this is a valid argument. Or they're going to go, huh? So you have your choice there. In both cases, you're probably going to win because at least you caught it. You caught it. You got to know when to catch these things and what they are when you catch them. You can't tell me that as I read these definitions to you that you can't think of an instance in your life when you were in some type of debate or discussion where this shit didn't come up. You know it does. It does all the time. Even if it's just like with your other half or one of your kids or a coworker, this stuff comes up all the time. And if you can identify it, that is so key to going anywhere with it, to understanding when you do it so that you can avoid it, to understanding when they're doing it in case you need to point it out in order to better solidify your argument and make your argument more credible. If you can point out these logical fallacies, you're going to be 2 legs up and a 3rd leg to the right on the whole issue. So very good stuff to learn. I'm totally interested in this stuff, and I make these mistakes all the time, but I will make much less of them as I learn the definitions of which ones are valid here, and all of them seem to be. You guys can tell me in the chat room if you find one that's not valid or is otherwise incorrectly defined. Inflation of conflict is the next one. Before I get into that, I'm just going to check on chat and see what's up. Skype calls I would think would work, but APOC would know better than me. Call them crazy also works. That works too, yes. It happens a lot too. Have you ever noticed how everyone's ex is a psychopath? That's crazy, huh? Are there that many psychopaths? Apocles says you should consider reading Mein Kampf. I'll read it. I haven't read that yet. It's one of the biggest works that I haven't read, and that comes from a personal hatred for the Nazis. I feel like if I read that, I'm giving him some kind of credibility, and I know I'm not. I'll give you an example, man. I'm playing this game called Silent Hunter 4, as you guys know. I won't play the German campaign. I can't I know it's a game. It's silly, isn't it? I should be willing to get into a German U-boat and go sink American and British ships. It's a video game. I can't do it. So I keep playing the fucked up American campaign in the Pacific and just sinking Japanese ships. I can't do it. Now, if they let me be an American sub in the Nazi territory, yeah, I would do it. But that's weird, isn't it? It sounds immature, really. But I've got this... there are very few people I hate in the world and organizations, but I genuinely hate what the Nazis were about post 1940, when they finally got structured the way they wanted to be, and it just represents everything that's against freedom and peace. Everything that's against freedom and peace is what the Nazis were about. I might, though. I mean, I know it's the mature thing to do, APOC. You should read even the enemy's works, but very hard for me to do. I can't make a promise at this point. Andrew says, Mein Kampf, remember reading it when I was 15, the superhuman thing. Interesting, however, I consider he was talking about the perfect human, not German. Yes, he had a certain fascination. I would call it I would call it something deeper than a fascination. It was almost an obsession with this Aryan descent and the people of Atlantis. And he had teams of people working in Africa, in Egypt, to find some sort of thing that could connect the German white man with some sort of special race from the past. And it was at least to the level of neurotic, just that part. Let's put all the rest about Hitler aside. Just his fascination with the occult and believing that his people in Germany had some sort of special connection to an elevated race with elevated intelligence and that they should have elevated rights and privileges thereby. I hate that. I hate that because it just feels, what's wrong? Apocalypse told me I was egalitarian, and I am. I like equality. I don't know why. It just feels right. I just don't see any human as better than any other. Maybe you could tell me what's wrong with that, but it's based on your deeds. It's what you do, who you are. Have you hurt people? If you have you atoned for it? Are you a person who seeks to hurt others all the time? I can start making judgments then, but till I know what you've done, I just can't judge you. I have a hard time with that. I don't know. Maybe that's I'm going to think about that. You got me thinking about that. Maybe it would be better to judge people and then clarify your judgments later. Like we were talking about the gut instinct, and I told Apocalypse you should trust your gut instinct at first and then use information to change it if you need to. He said never trust your gut instinct. Tell me something, Apocalypse. Why do you never trust your gut instinct? Are yours most often wrong? Because I find mine to be correct about 90% of the time, which means I can't bank on them, but it's a good number for me, getting 1 out of 10 wrong. So I have, maybe as a weakness, as a crutch, learned to trust my gut instinct. Because let's say you don't have gut instinct. Yours is just terrible. What do you have to do? You have to start working. You have to start thinking about this person and what they're doing. Or you're in line for a hot dog and you get a bad feeling. Is it just, what is it? Is something about to happen? Or for me, if I feel like something's about to happen, I'll step away from a situation. I'll step back and look around and go, what was that feeling all about? Because I don't get them often, and they seem to, so far, unless I've counted wrong, they seem to be right about 90% of the time, 80 or 90%, which is a pretty big number for me. So I'd rather be wrong that 10 or 20% of the time and just deal with being silly for worrying about something than to be wrong on the other end and have something happen that I had a gut feeling about but ignored. So I don't know. APOC, you are correct. It's a way to question it so you don't make any harsh choices. Okay, I see what you're saying. Stabby, what's up? Inference. Here we go. Stabby and Apocalypse were not getting along very well in Debbie's chat. I hope you guys get along here. I like it when people get along. We can all learn from each other. Let's do it. Let's do it. Stabby is one of the kings of logical thinking, in my opinion. He's always coming up with these factoids that help the discussion, and I appreciate that. That's what this show likes to do. I trust that little voice in my head, says Andrew. When I go against it, I end up in real shit. I hear you, man. That's kind of the way I am. Once in a while, it'll turn out to be something stupid. Like, I'll literally warn friends sometimes. I had a bad dream about an airline, so-and-so. If you don't have to fly today, don't fly. And then nothing happens. And you feel like fucking Miss Cleo, And I don't want to be that guy, but I could not forgive myself if I had some sort of weird vibe about airplanes and I didn't warn my friends that were flying to reconsider going on this day or whatever. I don't know. I would never be able to rest again if I didn't tell them that I had some sort of warning. And it'd be different if they were always wrong. But mine seem to play out pretty often. The gut feeling does tend to work out. And here's the thing. Be honest with yourself about your gut feeling. If you're only right 10 or 20% of the time, do what Apocalypse is saying. Question that shit. Don't trust it. But if you're right more than half the time, at least use it as a sense of, you know how racial profiling works. Use it as psychological thought profiling. Let it lead you in a direction. It may be the wrong answer, but if you're getting it right more than half the time, then statistically you're obligated to follow that gut feeling, at least initially, and then use information to clarify. That's all you can do. You know, you walk into a Walmart and everything's normal. You don't want to be there, but you have to because you wanted to go get this fucking lawn chair. And you walk down the middle of the aisle and you get this overwhelming feeling that there's about to be a shootout or an explosion or something. You've only had this once before, and when you did, there were shots fired. It was downtown at a bus station. So you turn the fuck back and walk out, and you don't get your chair. And it turns out nothing happens. Well, you feel stupid? I wouldn't. If my gut feeling's right most of the time, I won't feel stupid. I'll just say, well, I was wrong about that one. Oh, you know, let me file that in my memory so I'll know to factor it into how often I am wrong about these things. But what if you stay in there and say, that's a silly feeling, I must be thinking about a movie I saw. And the next thing you know, you're taking a fucking cap to the ass on aisle 14 as you try to make your way to the lawn chairs in Walmart. And those assistants are never helpful, so they're not going to come patch you up. You're bleeding to death. And they'll probably call, you know, like a manager. I'd say trust your gut feeling if it's normally right. If it's not right, I still wouldn't ignore it. If you're right 10 or 20% of the time on your gut feeling, still don't ignore it. Look around. See if there's anything to it. See if you can build on it or dismiss it. How many of you guys really trust gut feeling as if it were some sort of voice we don't understand in our subconscious that knows more than we do in our conscious mind? Because that's what I think of it as. I think your subconscious mind does a lot of work you don't know about. And what it does is it sends a signal to you oftentimes in a gut feeling situation that you couldn't have come up with in your own conscious mind. And it can't communicate with you in words. So it just sends a vibe. It gives you the nervous response to act. Something's about to happen. Prepare for this. That's what I think a lot of gut feelings are. It's your subconscious mind sending you a message. Some people might think it's God. Some people might think it's a sixth sense. Any of those things could be right. We're going to talk a little bit later about what Mr. Solutions had to say about atheist. And he basically tried to tear apart Mr. Midnight Movie about atheism. And I thought, this is what I'll never do. I know a little bit about this and the reasoning behind it, and I'm not going to jump you for believing in God, and I'm not going to jump you for being an atheist. He did this in such a pointed and authoritative manner that you would have believed that anybody who didn't believe in his God was absolutely ignorant. And we have to talk about this because you need to know how to understand information that's coming into your head that you're not that experienced with. These rules we're talking about, these logical fallacies, it's the first filter you can employ in an effort to that end. It's to understand what you're hearing and ascribe a value to it. How valuable is this to me? How much do I think he's telling the truth, and how accurate do I think that truth is? I know I can go look it up, but I need to know now. I can't look everything up. So you have to have a way to, I'm going to call it real-time filter the information coming into your head. Or otherwise, you're just going to, I'll get back to you on that for the rest of your life. You know, that's no good. I'm going to check in chat. We're going to get back to the logical fallacies discussion. Stabby is my boyfriend. Okay. Andrew says, mine is right, and I take a lot of risks. I should be dead by now. I should too, Andrew. I'm glad you trust yours, though. It's almost like having a secret weapon, isn't it? When your gut instinct's right pretty often, you don't have to do that much thinking in a situation where you might need to have your gut instinct kicked in and save your life. I like that about my gut instinct. It tends to... It saves me work, man. And anything that saves me work is a friend of mine. Because I'd much rather spend all my time reading shit if I could. But no, you gotta go do shit, you know? And that's what I love about gut instinct. It does feel like I'm cheating. Feels like an extra tool I have that saves me a bunch of work, where I don't have to sit down and put all the facts together and try to create this intricate web of probabilities out of it. Oh, gut instinct's kicking in. Let's listen to that. Okay, Stabby, I knew you were getting getting itchy there. Sorry about that. Do you have the page, Stabby? I put the link at the bottom of the chat so you can follow along. And if you see any incorrect definitions in this list that I've